Hello friends, I'm Mark Moore. I'm the author of Early Genesis, The Revealed Cosmology, and I'm getting some feedback that maybe the science-y figures that I put in one of the chapters of that book are a little bit confusing to people and hard to understand. And I know they're hard to understand because it has to do with the theory of relativity, which has been confirmed experimentally so many times it's almost like the fact of relativity. And that is that the rate at which time passes varies depending on the position and the velocity of the observer. So what I'd like to do is maybe give a little supplemental material to help people understand the figures that I put in that chapter of the book better, but to help everyone understand a little bit about why I'm saying time works the way that it does in early Genesis. First of all, let's notice the structure of the creation days, particularly once God gets through dividing things. The first 3 days he's dividing things. And once he gets everything divided up, then we notice something unusual in the text. And what I want to point out here is that dividing is the dividing of the eternal realm from the temporal realm. So once he gets through with the 3 days of dividing, you don't expect time to go at the same rate. It doesn't go at the same rate. Conditions. The whole point was he was separating things. And so we look at the days after that, the second half of 3 and 4, and in 5 he was only working on the earth, so not in heaven, so that one doesn't count. But then day 6 as well, we notice something strange in the text. Here it is. The pattern is, and God said. That's how every creation day starts, and God said. And he says something, and then there's a curious statement, and it was so. God said, let the earth bring forth vegetation, and it was so. Okay? But then, on days 3, 4, and 6, someone else had to act. Even though God said it, and the text says it was so, subsequent to that, someone or something has to act. In the day 3, the earth has to act. In days 4 and 6, God himself has to act. And along with the earth. And over the heavens. And then, only then does it say, and God saw that it was good. And at the end of the 6th day, the two phrases come together, it was so, and God saw that it was good, happen right on top of each other. I don't want to get sidetracked on that, but that means something too. But we have this pattern, God says something, and someone reports that it was so, and yet subsequent to that, he in conjunction with some part of the creation, still has to act. If it was so, why does he then have to act before he can say that it was good? Folks, he just got done separating things. That's what was done on day 1, day 2, and the first part of day 3. Time does not go at the same rate in the eternal realm and the temporal realm. Now, some young earth creationists have tried to use this to try to wedge 6 literal days into Genesis 1. And they've got it backwards, okay? They've got it backwards. The realm above is where when God speaks, his word is executed quickly and completely and just the way he intended it. That's the realm up there, but that's not where we are. That's not a universe fit for people like us. We do God's will slowly and haltingly with lots of missteps, and we couldn't do it at all without his intervention. So that's kind of, and that's reflected in the text here. He commands things, and in heaven it was so. But on earth it was a process, and he had to help in that process before he could even say that it was good, which doesn't even mean perfect. It means suitable or useful for his purposes. So that's the first thing. We have to understand that time is not going by at the same rate, and this is the place where it goes by slowly. Up there, God's will is done quickly. Down here, it's a process. A lot of missteps along the way in this creation that's been subjected to futility. So I'm going to erase this part. And now here's where I get to the sciencey stuff that has gotten people confused. And this is not the drawing, any of the drawings I have in the book, but I'm breaking it down a little bit more. I've got here a wave. And of course waves contain information. Radio waves contain people's voice, for example. Could contain text or code. Radio waves contain information, or microwaves, or whatever length of electromagnetic spectrum energy you want. It can be used to contain information. And so here's let's say this time is 7 seconds, both here above and here below. An observer in either place observes 7 seconds of time relative to them. Well, again, time is not, the amount of time that passes is dependent upon the position of the observer and the velocity of the observer. So we're going to say this higher thing is heaven and this lower line is earth, just for this example. But the message is the hip bone, see, like every wavelength here contains a word or two. The hip bone connected to the knee bone, end of message. That's your 7 seconds, and that's what you heard. Now, suppose this radio wave, though, or whatever kind of a wave frequency you want to call it, is going through space that is expanding. Space itself, the fabric of space-time itself, is being stretched. What happens to that wave? It stretches. Now the speed of the wave does not change. It still goes the speed of light. But the wave itself occupies more space as the space that it's in stretches. And so, in 7 seconds of observed time down here, you don't get the whole wave. You may only get the first 2 humps of the wave. So imagine here, space is stretched for this whole thing here as the universe stretches. And that is a function of our natural universe. Up there, of course, it's unchanging. But we may only have time for the words, the hip bone. So, on Earth, we see that message as not yet being completed. We see that message, we see this part of it took 7 seconds to say. And the message is not complete. That's what we observe down there. Up there, the message is already complete and it's ended. So that's kind of what we have going on in heaven and earth. That is the model laid out in the book, Early Genesis, the revealed cosmology. Time does not pass at the same rate. Up there, it is finished. His word is complete and it's done. Down here, His will is being worked out in a universe that can resist His will for a time. Can't resist His will forever, but His will be done. But we're supposed to pray, Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done, because down here it is not automatic. It is not flawless. It is not quick like it is up there. So the diagrams in the book are a little more complex than that, but they're both trying to say, or really all three of them are trying to say the same thing. The third one's saying something a little different. It's saying that if there are variations in how much space is being stretched, if space is being stretched a lot during one era and less during another, by the time the message gets to you, you may not know which word was said when. In other words, the hip bone connected, and if it's stretched out enough, you're listening here, is it saying connected or is it saying hip? This word's supposed to come before, or this word here is supposed to come after this one. Now they're arriving at the same time. And what I'm saying is that the information He sent to the different things of creation that He wanted to order, they can appear overlapping down here, whereas they were sequential up there. So, is it science nerd stuff? Yes, it is. But I think it'll mean a lot to some people, so I wanted to make sure and give, I guess what this is supplementary material. For more information, read the book. Thank you for listening, and may God bless you.